Hello, and welcome to this video on America between the years 1920 to 73, Paper 1, AQA GCSE History. The main focus of the video is to consider the economic boom in America during the years 1920 to 1929. It is important to understand what is meant by an economic boom. Therefore, I have given you a bit of a hint with an American dollar as well as a dollar sign, which would suggest that it involved making America a wealthier country. An economic boom is when a country experiences an increase in its wealth, a rise in its living standards, as well as advancements in technology and industry. However, before we can consider the causes of the boom in the 1920s, it's important to understand America's position just before the 1920s begin. In order to do this, we should consider the impact of the First World War. America stayed neutral during the war and did not join fighting until 1917. In the years before 1917, America was in a fortunate position as they had sold food and weapons to Europe, which meant that the economy was not directly damaged as a result of the war. So, why does America experience this economic boom in the 1920s? Well, there are 5 main causes or reasons as to why this happens, which we will consider throughout the video. First one is Republican policies. The second one is mass production. The third one is higher purchase. The fourth one is technology. And the fifth one is shares. The first factor we will consider or examine is Republican policies. The Republicans are a political party in America who dominate the 1920s. I've placed a sketch of Donald Trump to help you remember, as he's a Republican himself. Republican policies can be split up into 4 parts. The first part was the introduction of low taxes. If people are not being taxed as much when they receive their wages, it would mean they have more money to spend. This then has a knock-on effect, as if more money is being spent in the economy, it increases supply and demand. If there is then an increase in supply for products, this then creates jobs and provides more opportunities for employment. Another policy is laissez-faire, which means not to interfere, allowing businesses to expand without the government placing restrictions on them. Third one for the Republicans is tariffs. A tariff is a tax which is placed on foreign goods, making them more expensive. So when faced with the choice of an expensive foreign car or handbag or a cheap American-made one, customers would choose the one made in their own country, increasing supply and demand in America again. Fourth one is rugged individualism. This idea that Americans should work hard for themselves, not rely on anyone, including the government, for help. The second reason to why the economy does well in America is mass production. The car industry is the best example of mass production during this period. Mass production is a method of producing goods on a large scale and quickly. In order to understand this, we need to be aware of Henry Ford and the assembly line. The assembly line was an idea introduced by Henry Ford. As you can see in the picture, the car moves slowly down the line, with each worker doing only one specific job, instead of many complicated tasks. This meant that it was quicker to produce cars. Henry Ford wanted to make a car affordable for everyone in America. The assembly line made this possible. For example, in 1909, the Model T Ford cost $1,200. By 1928, this had dropped to just $295. Car production also benefited other industries such as rubber, steel, glass, leather. This knock-on effect meant that the increase in cars meant that more jobs were created. The third cause we will consider is higher purchase. Higher purchase is this idea of buy now, pay later. Therefore, if you could not afford something straight away or did not want to make the full payment, there was the option to pay for it over time in installments. Buy now, pay later meant more people could afford products and it increased the demand for goods. Fourth reason to why there is an economic boom in America is technology. Now, in order to understand technology, we need to be aware of the impact of electricity. Electricity also helped create the economic boom, as it supplied the power needed in the homes for consumers for their newly produced goods, such as vacuum cleaners, such as refrigerators and washing machines. In fact, by 1929, 70% of homes had electricity. It was also vital in terms of the cinema, speakeasies, and sports stadiums. It was also needed for millions of radios, which were in use across America within the 1920s. Key feature of the 1920s was advertising, as it took over people's lives. Advertising could be seen on billboards, magazines, newspapers, shop windows, and cinemas. Advertising also used the cinema as well as the radio. The more these goods were advertised, the higher the demand they received, which links in to this idea of the cycle of prosperity, which you will see. Increased demand meant more workers were needed, more Americans receiving wages, more spending, more sales. The fifth and final reason is shares. So, where did the companies get all this money from to expand, invest, and create all these consumer goods? And we have to talk about stock market, which is located on Wall Street in New York. And this is where people went to buy shares of companies in the hope that they would make a profit. This led to companies increasing investment. Buying stocks or shares is the same thing. So essentially, a share or percentage is just a percentage of a company. For example, today you could buy a share in Apple, McDonald's, Asda if you wanted. People will then hope that their share would do well. The company then uses this money to invest in new equipment, employment, or new buildings. If the company makes a profit, then the value of the share increases. However, if the company does not do well, then the share decreases. As you can see in the video, by 1929, over 20 million people had invested in shares. The aim of the video at the beginning was to give you the reasons to why America experienced an economic boom in the 1920s. I hope that it has achieved this. If you need to watch the video again, feel free to and pause it where you feel it's necessary. Thank you.